Well, now, as Donald Trump ramps up his attacks on the free press, on journalists and journalism, accusing them of, quote, virtual treason, it's a quote from Donald Trump, for reporting on the war, yet another one of his stated reasons for starting this deeply unpopular war of choice with Iran officially bites the dust, is no more. Brand new reporting from multiple outlets reveals that Iran's military is far from crippled.
You know, Trump is panicking when he's threatening reporters with treason for daring to cite the CIA's own report showing that Iran has retained over 70% of its ballistic capabilities and can withstand a blockade for months. But this isn't being reported on CNN and MSNBC only, but on Fox News.
You're repeating the bombing. You did it for 38 days. Well, no, we did, and you did not get the political changes in Iran. No, I had a total military victory. But the fake news, guys like you write incorrectly. You're a fake guy, and guys like you write about it incorrectly. We had a total military victory. We knocked out their entire Navy. We knocked out their entire Air Force. We knocked out all of their anti-aircraft weaponry. We knocked out all of their radar. We knocked out all of their leaders, number one, and then we knocked out all of their leaders in the 2nd Division, and we knocked out numerous of their leaders in the 3rd Division, and they're very confused. We've had a total victory, except by people like you that don't write the truth. You know, you should write. I actually think it's sort of some treasonous what you write, but
Trump threatens reporters with treason, punishable by death, for daring to report the truth of what the government has found out about this disastrous war Trump has started with Iran, a war that he is now trying to rebrand from Operation Epic Fury to Sledgehammer because it is an epic failure. And he assumes that the Republicans who are so spineless, that those who said if it goes past 60 days, you must get congressional approval, will now be okay with the name change and somehow restart the clock. Well, this shows how much these Republicans just don't care about representing the Constitution and the American people, because this war is deeply unfavorable, deeply unpopular because of how much it's costing, and because we're all seeing in real time how there's no strategy and how it's not working. Well, Trump's own CIA has shown a report that is saying that basically what Trump and Hegseth and Rubio and all the rest are saying are all lies.
Their missiles are mostly decimated. They have probably 19%, but not a lot by comparison to what they had.
Their missile launching capability has been substantially degraded.
Their ability to launch missiles and drones is dramatically curtailed.
they have some missiles, but not very many. I think we're in very good shape.
I was disturbed by a report in the Washington Post that they say 2/3 of the launchers are still okay to be used and still intact after the 2-week war.
2/3 of theirs.
2/3 of Iran's. Mm-hmm. And they have a lot of munitions left. But for somebody that wants to be heading towards the end of the violence and wants to the end of the blockade, they have a funny way of showing it.
But to your point, Brian, about that Washington Post article, it also talks about how they believe that Iran thinks they can outlast President Trump and try to maintain some sort of control of the strait. And the president's made it pretty clear, particularly in Lucas's report, that that's not acceptable.
Well, the CIA actually said that. According to a CIA report that the Washington Post got a hold of, that said that they believe that Iran can last 6-7 months with the current blockade of oil. So if that is indeed the case, because they got that shadow fleet is still functioning and they're still able to make money off the shadow fleet that's been in existence for 20 years because they've been under such heavy sanctions. And guess who's buying it? China.
We have seen at each juncture of this where we hear from our administration, oh, you know, Iran, they're on the back foot, all this economic sanctions are being totally crushed. They're going to fall tomorrow. No, the next day, the next day, the next day. Now there's this new CIA report that Iran could survive a naval blockade for 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4 month timeline on this. They have dug in. their foreign minister was in China this week.
Then there was this, another leak from the CIA, anonymous sources during the Trump administration. Oh, Iran has 75% of their missiles still. Really? We're still going to buy anonymous leaks from the CIA deep state to hurt Trump? Oh, they have 4 to 6 months left. Really? Then why are they leaking all their oil into the Strait? Listen, we're supposed to get...
And to me, the most significant thing that I learned this week come from CIA reporters, an assessment that's floating around now, that 70% of the Iranian missiles are still there, 70% of the launchers are still there. The Iranian regime is able to withstand the blockade for another 3 or 4 months before real pain hits.
According to the CIA report, all those bombs that we dropped, a lot of them just sealed off where Iran holds a lot of their missiles. But during this ceasefire, they were able to basically unseal it. So they were not destroyed. These missiles were not destroyed. It just perhaps made them more difficult to use. In fact, they are so available that now they still retained 70% of their missiles. And the same for their nuclear capacity. Expert after expert has said, because this is what Trump is trying to say, the whole point of this war is, of course, is to not have them have a nuclear weapon. Well, according to experts, the only way to do this is actually to send in ground troops and get it. And you would have to have a large-scale military invasion to do that and to protect our forces to do it, because the uranium is so far underground and so well protected with their concrete or steel or whatever types of protective shield there is, that apparently you could even use a nuclear weapon on that shield and it would still not destroy the enriched uranium. That is why you would have to go in and get it. So what then have they been doing? Sounds like not very much. Certainly not nearly enough, but it has still cost us over $1 billion a day in actual costs, never mind the increased costs from gasoline, et cetera. It has cost us American lives and the service members who have been put in harm's way and killed and injured. It has cost our moral authority on the world stage and even among ourselves as a country because of the killing of the 150 school children right in the beginning, where we still have had no accountability or justice for them, for the fact that we are waging this war without any domestic or international legal authority, destroying our credibility here and abroad. And all of this, according to the CIA, for basically 30% diminished capabilities. But this, again, is being reported all over Fox, Trump's own favorite propaganda network.
After weeks of war, the deaths of 13 U.S. service members, U.S. bases across the Middle East rendered, quote, all but uninhabitable. According to the New York Times, not to mention a devastating blow to U.S. prestige and standing around the world, U.S. intelligence shows that barely a dent has been made in the Iranian regime's capacity to wage war. A U.S. official with knowledge of recent intelligence assessments confirms reporting first released by the New York Times, then the Washington Post to our colleague David Rode, that, quote, about 70% of Iran's mobile missile launchers remain viable throughout the country. Iran has also retained roughly 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile, which is believed to be comprised of long-range ballistic and short-range cruise missiles. The recent intelligence reports found Iran has restored access to 30 of the 33 missile sites it controls along the Strait of Hormuz, which could be used to target American warships and oil tankers transiting the strategic waterway. The ceasefire itself looking fragile, Donald Trump himself saying that it is, quote, on life support. The potential remains for a renewed combat phase in this conflict, in which the U.S. military is now in a tough spot. New York Times reports this, quote, the U.S. military has already depleted its stocks of many critical munitions, yet the intelligence suggests that Iran retains considerable military capability, including around the vital Strait of Hormuz. If Trump ordered commanders to launch more strikes or take out or diminish those Iranian capabilities, then the U.S. military would have to dig even deeper into stocks of critical munitions, end quote. U.S. intelligence undercutting one of Donald Trump's goals for the war with Iran is where we start the hour.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.